two, one. This is the Jazz 08, also known as Jimmy J. Guillory. We got Classic Mike and our special guest today, Mr. Ali. Um, so, um, Mr. Ali, if you don't mind, can you please introduce yourself to everyone today?
Most certainly. Ladies and gentlemen, infidels of all ages, it is I, the magnificent, marvelous, madman of Arabia. I am the Lion of Syria himself. I am the illustrious Ali Mohammed.
All right. So, um, where are you originally from, Mr. Ali?
So, I was born, what's it called? People may be shocked to believe this, but I actually was born in Everett, Washington, all the way from the West Coast. But for my character, the Arabian Sheik, or Shiki Jr., I sometimes like to refer him as, I built him from Nasiriyah, Iraq, which is where my family's originally from.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
Nice. So, did you, hold, hold on. Did you, when did you start wrestling?
So I started wrestling July of the year 2018. I was originally down in Florida. I trained
Okay.
in a handful of schools. I bounced around lots of places. I did train with Devon Dudley for a little bit, but my
Oh, nice.
actual, yes. So my actual job like has this odd schedule, so it was prepared to me to go as often as I wanted. I did explain the situation to Mr. Dudley. So I did take a break from training, but I was still taking proteins when I can. And then a friend of mine by the name of Gorilla Blanco, he did help found a school, and he had Simon Goss as his head trainer. So for 8 months, I did train that location for a good while, but because of miscommunication with the building between management, they had to unfortunately close down that school. So then I moved up to Detroit, and I'm doing the same thing over. So I like to say, like, I am the student of wrestling. I have multiple mentors, and I've been to many places. I try to learn as much as I can.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit about your gimmick?
So when it comes to my gimmick, originally when I first created it, because like when I was training, people basically like, hey, you already, have the gimmick made. So like my name, obviously, then of course the gimmick. So like when I first started, I was a Arab supremacist. I was basically saying, like I'm better than you by default. And of course, I got a lot of like good cheap heat. But then like because like with my character, I can't focus too much on the rest of the part. I focus a lot more on the character part. Like character react to this, character react to that. And because I relied so much on a character, I was again very easy to work with. And because like my style of wrestling is very simple, very digestible, I easily become like a fan favorite. Even though I was a major heel, even though I get big booze, a lot of times after the show, when I'm in my regular outfit, people come to me and say, I really love the gimmick, I really love booing you. Like, I made it very enjoyable. So I had to evolve my character, so instead of becoming an Arab supremacist, I just become a ambitious, proud Arab that came to America to show my style. And then eventually, like I became more or less a headstrong tweener kind of character. Because like I had this hope by many people who said like, you have people cheering for you, don't pretend you don't. It's not just, Middle Eastern, because I did have many friends from Middle East. I do have like a lot of people in the audience, like Americans, they still like now not just boo me, but some would even cheer for me, because like they've seen all these like regular characters, and because I stand out uniquely, even though I was a heel, even though I was using heel tactics, they are still cheering for me because like they're just a huge fan of me. So I'm now at the point where I stop pretending I don't have any fans, and I still act like a heel, but I'm more or less, kind of like a tweener heel kind of character.
Yeah, it's not the same skills anymore because ever since wrestling really likes in the 90s, everybody loves the bad guy, they love the good guy. If you know what you're doing, you know, we love the wrestling business. They'll cheer for you if you don't love it. Like you're interested in the money, which I don't like. Everybody loses. I see a lot of wrestlers done that. What were your influences as a kid watching wrestling?
So I grew up like in the 90s. I was seeing like the attitude era taking off and going into the ruthless wrestling era. And people might actually be shocked to hear this, but some of my favorite wrestlers were like Stone Cold
Yes.
and Kurt Angle.
Mm-hmm.
Both of them are very American, but because like the wrestling and character was so good, I couldn't help but fall in love with them. I also like The Rock, and like because like he had like so much charisma. And then like I did like Triple H, Shawn Michaels, even though like Triple H doesn't have exactly as much support as he does nowadays, and of course Undertaker.
Mm-hmm.
And like of course like when it comes to like other wrestlers, I am like a huge fan of them because like everybody, not only in like old WWE, but like even like WCW, ECW, everybody has their own like brand of wrestling, brand of character, and like I can't help but like them. It's like foods. I like all kinds of foods. Sure, I have like some favorites over others, but I like all types of food. Like I can't like hate any one of them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, go ahead, Gary.
All right. So that's all pretty good there. Would you really consider your character to be a face or a heel in most promotions right now?
So I did explain to somebody like when I was living down south. As long as I live in the south, I basically have no choice but to be a heel because like a lot of them are southern folks and they do love like the old tradition. A lot of times
Yeah.
they would choose like a lot of white wrestlers and black wrestlers over me, of course. And it's like
Yeah.
it's normal, like you rather cheer your hometown hero over like a foreign like heel or foreign menace. But like since I moved up to Michigan to the Midwest, depending on like which location I go, I do get a heel reaction or sometimes a baby reaction. So like since like I'm living up in the Midwest, and if I were to go to the northern part, like New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, I would get more of a babyface reaction because like a lot of people are more liberal up there. But also I do have there's like a lot of Muslim population up there. So right now like when I was living down south, I'm more of a heel character. But now I'm moved up here, I'm again like between the heel kind of thing.
Okay. What what famous wrestlers have you worked with so far in your career?
So the most famous like wrestler I have that worked with was Anthony Totelli, and he is from OVW. And when I first started in the career, actually, I did wrestle 4 wrestlers from WCW. They were doing this whole documentary thing. I had an honor to wrestle the Glazers, Ernest the Cat Miller, and of course King Med and the Karate Kid. Like I did manage to wrestle all 4 of them in an 8-man tag, and that is like the greatest honor that I ever had, especially since I was basically brand new. I think that was like December of my first year, so 6 months into the business, I had a chance to be with all 4 legends, which is just amazing for me.
Cool.
Okay.
I know the 3 of them you mentioned. Last one I don't know, because I don't see WCW fan. Probably Frank Gibbs was probably a one-off in WCW, but
Probably, yeah.
I didn't know growing up watching them. And I'm in my 50s, so I started watching wrestling in the 70s, way back when no one knew it was kayfabe or anything like that back in the very early days. But I was WCW in the 90s, and those 3 wrestlers you mentioned are good wrestlers. They still wrestle enough today, I know that.
But
Yeah.
like I know they used to do still do some shows here and there, but the other 2 guys, like I think they're still doing like their own thing and not wrestling stuff. If they do come to wrestling, it's usually just a appearance.
Yeah, some can wrestle, but some still show up. We love wrestling, so there you go.
But
Yeah.
Well,
Did,
a lot of times, the controversial '90s thing. I'm not going political on this, but what happened to it's Mohammed? He's now school. Mark. He's now a school teacher. Now I'm in the city. He's now working for school administration, school system. And I just saw his Dark Side of the Ring documentary, and I'm thinking, what do you think what he went through being Italian American turned into Arabian nationality he was? But he was really from my area. And what do you think about the documentary, how he's treated in the WWE?
So for Muhammad Hassan, like I understand, like at one point, like in the territory they last time, like there's only like a handful of like diverse Brazilians. A lot of times that do like adopt a new ethnicity. I understand that's how it was back in the day, and I understand like at that time WWE had a monopoly of all wrestling, and when it comes to like more like developmental territories.
Sorry.
No way. So like with the OVW and Florida Championship Wrestling, they do like have those guys train up the new guys. So like for Muhammad Hassan, like I think there were already a handful of Italian wrestlers, so they wanted to give him something new. So he did adopt an Arab gimmick. And mind you, in the beginning, he did a good job portraying as an Arab, and he did like bring up some point like, I basically did nothing, and y'all portray me as a villain when I'm not. But then there is a problem. Like at that time, the term doesn't exist, but they call it the Killmonger effect, where like the villain does bring up a good point, but because like he did bring up something that nobody wants to address, like this big issue that no one wants to address. Like, cause like if they address it, they have to admit they are the one at fault.
Yes.
So what they do is, what they do is have the character commit like a heinous act to make like all his points mute. So like for him, like he was bringing up some good point, but then he started like doing typical like heel stuff. And even when I was a kid, I was like, come on, man, you had a point. Like people were coming to your side, but of course, like WWE basically don't want to say like, hey, we were kind of wrong with everything. And then of course there was the London attack, which was at nobody.
They should have cut this because they should cut it out.
yeah.
Excuse me, sorry, my allergies right now.
Yeah, they did like cut it up because of force, but then like it's like with the Muhammad son, like he tried so hard in the OVW, and he was trying his damage to make it to the WWE. He's trying to keep his spot there, but then like other wrestlers like turn on him, especially like when he tried to ask Eddie Guerrero to protect the chemical coach gimmick, and then when they send him back to see like, hey, let's see if we can like more or less reinvent yourself, but fortunately he did. And I'm happy for him where like
Yeah, he's working with school system now. He's really good. He was a principal when he first started from middle school. He worked his way up to administration.
Yeah, then I'm happy that he's managed to find success outside of wrestling.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you somehow fall back on for your wrestling career, don't go away.
Of
That's
course.
what I realized. Good, Jeremy.
Yeah. So, have you faced any kind of issues backstage or going into the ring between fans or other wrestlers because of your gimmick or anything like that, ethnicity or anything like that?
Funny that you should mention that. So like when I was living down south, again like my gimmick is easy. I work easy with the boys.
Yeah.
So like there at one point when I was going all over the place, where like at some point the fans was like, Ali is good. We want him at this promotion, so we can start booing him there. And then the guys like, we like booking Ali. He's easy. Like they try to talk to the booker, the promoter, like let's bring Ali over here and start a program. So ultimately, all the decision comes down to the booker and the promoter. And at the end of the day, they keep saying, "Oh, we can't do it. Why not? We just can't. Is there an issue? Why can't you bring Ali in? Like, oh, we just can't. There's no room. We could easily make room. Like, we need big heels. Ali can do it. Oh no, we just can't. We just can't." And they won't explain why can't they. It's not like they were. No. Here's the thing. Some of them did bring up the point like, oh, because of your ethnicity, there might be an issue. Where like it never was an issue because some of them were book storylines of like actual kidnapping. They would bring in like actual car accidents as a prop in the storyline.
Yeah.
So they basically would do everything else. But when it comes to me, mind you, I won't say anything crazy like, "Oh, I'm gonna kill you Americans." I won't say that. But the
Yeah.
thing is, like, every time I walk into the curtains, I go through the curtain, go to the ring, I get a bigger reaction than anybody in the locker room. Sometimes I get more reaction than the babyface. Mind you, they would boo me louder than the cheers they have for the head babyface. And that is what the promoter and booker really hate. It's not just, like, oh, the word that there might be a fight, there might be controversy. You just hate the fact that I walk in, I get more reaction than the top babyface. So it's not like anybody's worried about, a fight or any sort of reaction. Because when I was living down in Florida, I've met many Iraqi veterans, many Afghanistan veterans, and a lot of times I would talk to them in the situation, and I would hear some horror stories, like what they've gone through, what their friends gone through, and when they came back, they basically get no support from anybody or from the government. So, like, I never had an issue with the veterans down there. I never had an issue with the fans. The fans love having me, they love suing me. And of course, when it comes to the wrestlers, like, it's basically a night off for them. So, like, as soon as we get in there, we can have a 20-minute match and nobody gets hurt. So, ultimately, it's just the booker, the promoter, just can't stand the fact that I have a more reaction than the babyface. When I moved up to the Midwest, I had the opposite problem where, like, oh, you can barely do anything and still get reaction? Let's have you on. That way, like, easy for everybody, easy for me, easy for my co-workers, my boys, the wrestlers. Like, only when I moved out to the South when it stopped being an issue.
Okay.
Now, I'm sorry if I'm drinking all this water.
I'm drinking too.
We all have our own drinks over here, so you don't have to worry about
I
that.
can drink anything I want to.
Yeah, I just got up from the gym, so, I need to keep hydrated.
Yeah.
That's understandable.
Yeah. Completely understandable there. So, did you ever have to do a storyline where you would have to be supportive of something that you did not agree with at all at one time, or?
Good question.
That is a good question. So, a lot of times when I'm brought into a promotion, a lot of times it's a bunch of cold matches. And for people who don't know the term cold matches, basically, two wrestlers having a match with no storyline. It's just who is the better wrestler who can come up on top.
Yeah.
And, like, when I did become part of the storyline, a lot of time is, like, the first time I was part of the storyline is where, like, I would bulldoze through a whole lot of, like, other faces, and, like, supposedly I was supposed to go against the top babyface, and the blow-off match is when I put him over as him being a big babyface. But then, again, this is back to the previous issue where, like, match one, I had big reaction, and the booker basically changed his mind because it was worried I get more reaction as babyface. But going to what you were asking, Jeremy, like, whenever there was, like, a storyline. So there wasn't, like, a particular storyline. Like, I never got that far with some of the promoters. But I do have, like, some of the old-timers. And some people who have their mindset stuck in the 80s, stuck in the 70s, where, like, for you, Mr. Michael. So, like, some of them would tell me that if I were to go on my gimmick, I don't speak English at all. And I didn't like that because, like, I would have an Andrade situation where, like, if I can't speak for myself, how can anybody understand me? And if someone wants to, who do they reach out? Like, we don't know if all these speak English. Like, I do speak English, so, like, I really don't like it when some of these guys tell me don't speak English, like, on camera or, on my page. And then I had another wrestler another, like, promoter, and also another wrestler who was telling me that when it comes to my gimmick, I should say stuff like, Allah can manage me to do that, Allah can manage me to do that. And I didn't didn't want to do that because it is blasphemic, and I don't want people to think, I'm an extremist. So it's not like I was part of a storyline that had me do something, but when it comes to like character hints, there are times where I say no, it's because either it's blasphemous, it is racially insensitive, and like that's how far it went. Like only when they talk about my character that I say I can't do this, I can't do that, and it's not like I'm trying to be difficult. I'm trying to protect my culture, my gimmick, because like going back earlier when I said like a lot of like American wrestlers adopt other like cultures. A lot of times they do stuff that is insensitive, and like they say like, oh, I'm trying to get a reaction, and like you say that, but like it's not your culture, so you didn't have a problem like doing stereotypes. And like I had another friend of mine, his name is D3. He is an Italian wrestler, and he gets mad like other wrestlers like, you're not Italian, like stop like pretending to be Italian, and he gets heat from bookers like you are making my guys look bad. He goes, they're looking themselves back because they're not Italian. And there was another time where I tried to be a tag team with another Sheik. He's an American, but I kept my mouth shut. But then the booker saw me and he sees how I talk and goes like, if we put them together, he's immediately going to out him without trying, like by accident. And then of course, like I have like two wrestlers. One is from Czechia, the other one is from Russia. And they had that issue too. Like, I don't like how these Americans keep saying, they're Russian. Like, dude, you're not Russian. Like, you don't look Russian. You don't act like a Russian. You don't speak like a Russian. So, like, there are times where, like, foreigners like me or people who came from, like, foreign family, like, they don't like it when, like, other people do these, like, stereotypes. Like, I'm going to act like this. I'm going to act that way. Like, dude, you are insulting our culture. I'm sorry if I'm like going off topic, Jimmy, but like it's like what you're saying. Like I never had like people like talk to me in a storyline to act this way, but like when it comes to like how I act my gimmick is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Okay. I recently watched the Dark Side remastering about hardcore wrestling match. You ever wrestled hardcore, or do you ever just want to do regular wrestling?
So I do have some of the no DQ matches, weapon matches, but when it comes to like death matches, like with the blood and like light bulbs and everything, I never like had these type of matches. And like, it's like I talked to another wrestler when talked about how back in the territory days, these kind of matches are usually blow off matches, like the.
Uh-oh. Lost ya.
Mr. Holly, are you still there?
Hello? Hello?
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Oh boy, we lost him. Shit.
Mike, you still there?
Let me say that word. Sorry.
Yeah. Let me.
Try to get back out again. Tom, we lost him.
All right, let me try to add him back here.
You're gonna have these difficulties.
Happens sometimes.
You try to hold him again?
Yeah, I'm trying to get a hold of him.
Tom, we lost him.
Yeah. Yeah, let me let me message him and see what happened.
Yeah, I don't know if we lost him. We'll have to get back on there. See what he said about that. Last question.
Yeah.
There's your partner again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she was supposed to be in the other room, but apparently she snuck in.
She's lonely. Cats are like that sometimes. I like to be lonely.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay.
Yeah, we lost you a little bit. Your team about the hardcore wrestling thing I asked you. That's when we lost you on.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yeah, we can
Yeah,
see
you're.
you.
Yeah, sorry about that. My phone got overheated, but what's go? If I was like to continue, so like when it comes to like death matches,
Yeah.
a promoter, I'm sorry, another investor told me that usually that kind of matches is for blow off matches, like end of the feud kind of matches, where like you build up and like after the long back and forth, a lot of times where heels keep like running away from the baby face or keep cheating to get out of the match. That's when they do like hardcore matches, like no DQ matches
Yeah.
to finish off the feud. And like for me personally, like if I were to do these kind of matches, the death proof kind of matches, I want to make sense. I don't want to just like do it like nowhere, and not just like 'cause I have like a shoot job right now. I have like an actual job. If I come to a job where like I'm like cut up and everything,
Yeah.
they're gonna ask questions that I'm not prepared to answer. And a lot of times I have like jobs where I have to like meet with the public. So, I can't just show up with the world, talk to the customers. My face is all cut up. So, like, it's not like I'm saying no to these kind of matches, but like if I were to do them, I want them to make sense.
Okay. Also, a lot of these days, some wrestlers are in this for money and you don't like wrestling. What do you think about those type of people that are in it for the money instead of the wrestling? I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't typically like that as well, but like a lot of times, like when it comes to wrestling, it's one of those things where you have to be really passionate about. Like a lot of times you go on the road, you come to these promotions, a lot of times the pay doesn't even out, or you basically do it for free. But when it comes to those who do get paid, like for some people that is like their full-time job, like some people like don't have any other skill set, and of course like it is a job for them, and like it is understandable. But like for these kind of people, they need to like bring something to the table. They need to bring people at the gate. They need to be able to sell tickets, and like it depends on like who it is, because like let's say for example it is like a ex WWE, ex TNA, AEW guy. So if they would say like, if you want me to come to this promotion, you need to give me like $1,000, to show up. And if they do that, and the promoter say like, to the guy like, unfortunately I can't pay you because most of the time, I would still go to the show because one, that depending on who it is, it would definitely bring in like hundreds of people to the show, and that's like 100 people I can reintroduce myself. And of course, I'll get new followers and new people to, let them know who I am and what can I bring to the table. But then there are all those who are journeymen, where like they would never go to AEW, WWE, Ring of Honor, MLW, but like they would still be able to, get a following, and they're all doing it for the money, they're all doing it for the fame. And I really don't like these type of guys because like they don't have like actual love for the sport. They're just doing it for the fans. They're just doing it for play. I do know like some people they have like streaming like service, like they do like video games, like packaging, like they do like vlogging. That's what we're looking for. They have their like vlogging kind of thing, and they basically use Investor as another like platform. You know how like some streamers, bloggers, they will do like hiking for one video, then the next video they do like a eating competition. Like they do like amazing things. It's the same thing with these kind of people. And like I want to say like I don't like these people. I don't want them like investing in. But unfortunately, these kind of people like bring in like tons of views. So it's kind of like a catch-22 where I need to work with people like who are this and that. Sometimes like the people who don't like wrestling the most bring in the most people, which is unfortunately how it is nowadays, where you need to like balance the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about celebrities these days wanting to become wrestlers? Like, for example, internet guy, I'm not mentioning his name because we had problems with organization before. What do you think these guys coming in from internet or other backgrounds that had no wrestling experience coming in and trying to wrestle? Like
Uh,
what
well,
do you think about that?
so a lot of times we call these guys like backyard wrestling, and majority of the time they're not always from the backyard, but like a lot of these guys are very untrained. But like there are some people who are very athletically gifted that like as soon as they get to the wrestling, they're able to do all these like moves safely, and like if they like either like they know enough of wrestling or people like talk them through it, that they're able to, carry on matches. They're able to do like all these things without hurting themselves, without hurting other people, and like they're able to do that without getting like formal training. And like I don't want to make exceptions, but a lot of times like with these kind of people, because there has been like times where like in back in territory days where there are guys who like never got formal training, but because they're able to spend ring time with some of these guys and they're able to show themselves like talented, like they've been able to get to it, as a term from Jim Cornette, like a duck to water. So when it comes to these duck on water people, you kind of more or less want to bring them in. But then of course there are these like backyarders, and I've seen this with like other wrestlers too, who go to a proper school, who go to get proper training, and a lot of times they don't get it. Like sometimes like as soon as they get in the ring, they literally do not know their left from their right. And you think I'm exaggerating, but I've seen that where like one of the trainers was like, okay, grab his left arm, then touch the right. No, his left arm, they're still touching the right arm. Grab the left, still grabbing the right. Like a lot of times they're oblivious when it comes to training. So like when it comes to training overall, like you really want people who knows what they're doing, who are able to follow direction, and they're able to do these kind of like moves without harming themselves or harming the other wrestlers. Because one of the greatest fear I have is like these untrained like people do a dangerous spot, get themselves seriously hurt or even killed, and they do it in front of children. That's like one of my biggest fears. I even like told one promoter, I was like, you can't hire these kind of guys that like they're not fully trained and they're versed in the mat and they're all hurting themselves, and I can't like have them hurt themselves in front of the children. That's how I feel when it comes to like training overall. Like if like depending on who it is, and if they're able to follow direction, I want them to get proper training and of course put on a proper mat.
Okay, we mentioned backyard wrestling. About a few backyard wrestlers were picked up by training schools after they were back wrestling for instance, example, like Brody Lee and the Hardys. They were doing their own backyard wrestling, Stud Shamor also. Then sooner or later, when they started working in the main organizations, they picked them up and trained them. What do you think about people like that? They were truly loved wrestling fans. They were true wrestling fans and wanted to learn the sport. But back then, there wasn't many schools that could afford. What do you think about those guys going to the organizations and to pick them up and train?
But so they're more or less like in the middle, where like a lot of times there are people who do stuff, do spots just to take a bit, and of course get themselves hurt. But if they show like enough potential and if they're able to keep at it, if like they catch a knife from one of the promoters, the brokers, the agent, and they're able to get like proper training, they should be able to get the proper training and move forward.
Yes.
And going back to what you were talking about, like there's Seth Rollins. He's like one of these guys. I think in the independent, in the independent circuit, I think he called himself Tyler Black. I may be wrong, but like he did do these like backyard promotions. But then like he figured like at some point he had the talent for this, and he goes, you know what? Instead of just doing this like backyard stuff, let me get like actual training. And he got like properly trained. And then, of course, he's able to do Ring of Honor, that kind of stuff. Then he got picked up by WWE. So, like, when it comes to, like, some of these, like, guys, if they're able to, put themselves, like, if they're able to, like, discipline themselves, that's the word I'm looking for. If they're able to show discipline, if they're able to show effort, and, like, if they're willing to, listen to the other wrestlers, more experienced wrestlers, and get like more training, then they should be able to continue that training. Because I've seen this a lot of times where like sometimes like wrestlers from a school who think like, oh, if I'm already like good enough, I don't need extra training or I don't need to hear advice. So it's more like, yeah. And it's like one of those things where like you need to more or less like continue forward because there are some wrestlers who at some point become complacent. Like they're on top of the independent promotion or they're on top of this promotion where they're able to go like other countries, other states and able to make a proper living. And they say like I don't need to, advance, I don't need to, apply myself anymore. So like as long it's like real life, like
Yeah.
if you like let's say for example, like at your actual job where like you're at the entry level and you're able to do this, maybe you can advance to a management, but that means you have to like get additional training. Some people they refuse that kind of training because they don't want the responsibility of the manager, or they say like, no, I'm happy where I am. And there are some people who, if they apply themselves and they get training, they become management. But for some people, management is like their limit that they want to go for. Because like some people, like they do want to push themselves, be like from entry to management to assistant director to regional manager. So it's like that, and wrestling is like that in real life. Like if you do get additional training, if you are offered additional training, you need to, if you want to advance, that is your option to go advance. That's your chance to go beyond the further level. Because there's been like many times where like I've been like offered like free training and I jumped on that. There are times where like I've seen a seminar and I have the time and the money to invest in it. I jumped into that opportunity because I always want to advance more. Like even though like in independent circuit I am like getting like traction, like I'm getting more booking, I still want to advance more. Because like it's like this, like I want to go from 20 people to 100 people to 500 to 1,000, 10,000. I want to keep going more. And like in the independent circuit, you do jump around from like 100 to 50 to 100 to 50 to 1,000 back to 100. But I want to be consistent where like I want to be able to, get bookings every weekend. I want to be able to, travel more. Like about a month and a half ago, or I'm sorry, like a month ago, I had this 5-week tour, I called it, where like the first week I went to Indiana, then I went back to Detroit, Michigan, I went to Griffin, Kansas, I went to Houston, Texas, and I went to Inverness, Florida. And then the week after that, I went back to Indiana. But like for 5 weeks in a row, I was going to like 5 different states, 5 different shows, and 5 different weeks. So that is something like I want to be able to, continue on a regular basis. Right now, I'm still doing like independent show. I have another show with Floor Wrestling on August 1st back in Indiana. So that is something that I always want to continue. Again, when it comes to what you're saying, when it comes to wrestling, who wants to receive training or who wants to advance, you always want to jump on the opportunity. Because I had some cases where a wrestler, he goes to 3 different places, he does not want to get outside the 3 places. Because in 3 places, he's always the top guy. But once he goes out, either he has to be a mid-carder or sometimes an opener, and he does not want to do that. He does not want to advance from a pond he's already, the big fish in, if you understand what I'm saying.
Okay, independent wrestling's getting more popular since the big ones are starting to go downhill. And another organization, NWA, just got on TV on comment, is now doing a lot more wrestlers, bringing wrestlers in and getting new stars because it's owned by Smashing Pumpkins singer Billy Corgan. What do you think about that coming back on since after Ring of Honor went off the air when they sold and NWA Power finally coming on TV instead of the internet?
So a friend of mine, he mentioned wrestling is like the stock market, which is the best way to, describe it, where like a lot of times it goes up and down. Sometimes it depends if wrestling gets up high, it's really popping, it's very hard. But then other times where it comes very low and like, it becomes stagnant, a lot of people don't get a lot of bookings, a lot of times independent promotion with TV viewing is low for the longest time. And like for companies like NWA NWA with Billy Corgan. Like, it's good that NWA is still like going strong, and a lot of wrestlers who get on it, like it's a good option for them to get TV training, and of course, like they're able to, show people outside, their normal area that they exist. So like for them, like right now, NWA is at a high point, and like hopefully they stay up high for a long while before they go up and down a little bit. And that is the thing.
But also you got former wrestlers that are still in there right now. I'm like, a lot of them WWE just in there helping train these wrestlers in the future.
And that is good, because like when it comes to like wrestling, a lot of times you gotta pass down torch or pass down knowledge. And I have heard from like wrestlers there who is getting training from like former WWE, NXT guys, TNA guys, and it is good that they are receiving these kind of training, so that way they're able to, advance forward in their career, or if they need to, they can pass down that knowledge to future generations. So, like, it is good that, NWA is still going strong, and hopefully they're able to have a more permanent basis where they're still up high, and maybe will go up higher than what they're doing right now.
Yeah, he's not rushing it like Eric Bischoff did when he took over TNA. That was too
Right.
much. And they ain't like these that you can do rush. Now you just gotta work your way up. Like MLW did the same thing before with its man issue about the channel wise. I hope they get on TV pretty soon. I've seen a lot of the videos and a lot of live shows. I like them. It was really good. Put good backs together.
But it's like that with any other business. You don't want to expand quicker than your growth, Like you want to be, keep it right amount of traction before we move up to the next level.
Okay, Jerry, go ahead and answer the question. Sorry, I took over. Any questions, Jeremy?
Yeah. So let's move on to your dream match. What would you say would be your biggest dream match that you would want to have with anyone retired or current?
So right now, like I want this to happen like later in the future, like when I'm more well known. I joked with some of the guys, like as soon as I moved up to the Michigan scene, I will become a big babyface among the Arab Muslim population, and I would call myself the Arabian Dream, like Jesse Rose,
Yes.
He was the American Dream. I want to be the Arabian Dream. And like I saw that as a joke, but then like it started thinking because like I'm looking to the Middle East right now. Some proposals are popping off, and like I'm having like these ideas of like doing some tours in the Middle East. And like when it comes to the dream match, I have only one dream match right now. Eventually, I won't be able to have a big enough card, and for like the main event, the marquee would be saying the Arabian Dream, Ali Mohammed versus the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes.
Oh,
right
yeah.
Now, yeah, it's like, that sounds good already, huh? The name itself.
That'd be a good one right there.
That would be a good one. And like, I'm already like dreaming and like thinking like what to do in that match and what kind of like back and forth I can have with Cody. And of course, like, I want to hear Cody's like opinion on it, and like maybe he'll go through with it, maybe not, but I want to see like what he thinks of it. And again, there's not something I want to happen right now, but I'm saying down the line where like I have much more experience, I'm much more well known. That way, like, I don't want to just rely on Cody's name. I want to be able to have my name be somewhat equal to his. So that is like my dream match right now. Be able to have, this kind of a match between me and him.
Great answer. I know a lot of classic wrestlers are not around with us, such as Iron Sheik, the Sheik, and Sabu, or anything.
Right.
But would you have ever want to ever have a show where you're working with them, either with them as your manager or tag team partner or opponent or anything like that?
I did, yeah. So one point when Sabu was still with us, promoter, he did try to get him on the show, and like he was going to have him be like my manager and mentor. But then unfortunately there was problems with the price with Taboo, and he couldn't make it. So I wanted to have the opportunity where like I'm able to work with him. Like he knew that I exist. The promoter was telling him about me, like Ali was this and that. Both of you could be great, and like there was even like not like a serious talk, but there was talk about me going on the road with Taboo, and I'm more or less like help him like with his match, or he be helping him with my match. I'm sorry, him helping me with my matches. So that was like not like a serious talk, but it was like half serious, half joking kind of talk. But unfortunately, he passed away. I didn't have that option, the opportunity to even meet him. There was another opportunity like years ago where the Iron Chick was with us, and there was like a convention, MomoCon. He did like talk to Sheik, but then the Iron Chick got very ill because like that was later in his life where his health was failing him, so he wasn't able to make it, and unfortunately like he passed away as well. So like there were like opportunities where like I could be able to work with these two, but unfortunately the opportunity didn't come. One opportunity I did have, and I'm glad I did have, was I had a picture with Sergeant Slaughter. So I am happy. Yeah, I'm happy with that video. I'll probably send it to YouTube later. But yeah, I had that photo with Sergeant Slaughter, and that will be my favorite photo for the longest time.
Yep.
So what? So I assume that you met Sergeant Slaughter at like a Comic Con or something. What was that experience like for you personally when you were able to meet him?
It felt like I was meeting a part of wrestling history. Like back in the territories, there was a lot of history, but like in his time, like where like television was like becoming more the regular. So I met somebody who was like part of like wrestling history, and of course like he had legendary matches with the G. He had other great matches with what's it called? Other heels. He had the big match with Hulk Hogan.
Yep, he was the heel.
And he also like had the like deal with what was the toy company? Mantle, I think that's what it's called.
I don't think it was Mattel. I think it was I forgot what it was called. It was a G.I. Joe thing. I forgot what the toy company was called.
Yeah.
That was like mid-80s at the time.
So yeah, like it was great meeting Sergeant Slaughter, and like he was like elated to meet me as well. He goes like, "Oh, you're an actual Iraqi," because like he keeps reading like other like wrestlers pretending to be Arab, so it was refreshing for him to like meet an actual Arab being an Arab wrestler.
Yeah, that's his idea.
Yeah.
Usually try to refresh his role. He didn't want to do it, but he forced him to.
Right.
Keep his job.
Oh yeah. So what do you do?
Go ahead. Gotcha.
Yeah. So, is there any hobbies or anything that you do outside of wrestling? Like any sports or anything like that?
So when it comes to like other sports, I don't really do that outside of wrestling. I just the gym is basically part of work, but I do like going to the gym. I like going to movies with like my cousins up here, and I do like video games. So like that's what I like to do outside of wrestling. It's more or less like going to the movies with families and playing video games. Like in Michigan, there is like a lot of like restaurants, so basically go to like a lot of like barbecue places, a lot of like good mom and pop shops. So like it is good to go out there and like eat like new foods and whatnot. So those are like my hobbies.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of figured that you were a gamer with the Mario shirt there. What's your favorite video game?
So like when I was growing up, my favorite like games were the Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi series. Like I played these like hours on end. These were always
Wow.
were my favorite games growing up.
That's nice. Um,
Well, okay.
go on, Mike. What was
Well, I
your?
was just say, a lot of times I watch the pay-per-views or heard about live events, accidents happen. Like for example, TNA when they had that fight when I call third get the first match, and then people get like Draws get accidentally hurt in the ring after a fan threw a cup in the ring, he slipped out of it. Did you have anything in your career like that, or done the wrestlers you worked with, or no?
I'm sorry, you were cut in and out. Could you repeat?
I'm sorry, my allergies are acting out. I'm saying, accidents happen in wrestling all the time. For example, like they had the TNA early days had a fire during one of the pay-per-views, and Draws getting injured because fans like throw something liquid in the ring and paralyze them. Did you, in your career, did you have anything happen to you or happen to other wrestlers you're dealing with?
So I do have like some fans like they do get like very rowdy, and like this happened to one show I was part of. So like there's like one wrestler, he had a lucha gimmick, and like what's it called? There was a fan at the ringside. He was drinking heavily, and he was getting rowdy. Mind you, it wasn't just with the Max Lucha, but basically with all the matches. He was yelling real loud. He was pounding the ring. Like, he was getting very animated. Like, he was getting excited in the show. And, like, one point, like, I don't know what happened, but, like, the Max Lucha had, like, a argument with the drunk wrestler, and he headbutt and started, like, punching him while he's on the ground. And, like, when he went to the locker room, he was saying like this guy was getting in his face, but like there was video evidence to show that that wasn't the case. And like for the drunk guy, his friends like saw what happened across the room, and they tried to get into the locker room, and we were like blocking like the doors. And this was at a car shop, so like a small building with like metal walls. And like they were trying to like get into the back door whatnot, and we hear like a big bang. So people don't know either that was a gunshot or him just slamming through the door. But like there was almost a fight that happened. Somebody called the police, and the police arrived and started asking people questions. So when it comes to the lucha guy, he removed his mask, and the police asked him like, "Hey, do you know what happened?" "I don't know what happened." "Do you know where the guy went?" "I think he left. I don't know where he went." So like, yeah, that is like one situation where I was part of where like there was a fight between the fan and the wrestler, and police were involved. Nobody got arrested, but like this was like I think semi-main or like 2 matches before the main. So like when the police got there, basically everybody left because it was down in Florida. So a lot of people on probation already. So everybody already left, and the guy who was a part of the main event, he goes like, "We're not going anywhere. We're doing the main event." I was like, "Dude, everybody left. Like, why we gonna continue?" There were only 2 people left, and because they live down the road, so they're able to stay behind. So like the rest of the show, the semi-main and main, they're basically wrestling in front of 2 people. And like, if I were the booker, I would have like just called it. But like, when it comes to like these indie promoters, like they don't know any better. They're just huge marks pretending to be, big time bookers. But yeah, that was the. I heard like other stories where like other wrestlers got stabbed. I heard there was like one fan coming in, and because he was bigger than the other 2 wrestlers, he started like throwing them around, slamming them in the head, and had to basically bribe them to get out. Offered him like t-shirts and like merchandise. I think the fan was like somewhat autistic. I don't want to make an assumption, but they had to basically like bribe them to get out because it was embarrassing the entire promotion by body slamming the 2 other wrestlers.
Nice.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would have had a follow-up question to that, but it slipped my mind. What would you describe your diet to be like normally? You said that you
What
go to your diet. Like
my diet. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, food intake.
Yeah, so I did talk to one of my friends. He's a wrestler as well as a gym, a trainer and nutrition. His name is Matthew Ennis. He's looking probably like find him online. And like he did have this like special offer where like you help not only other people but wrestlers with like their diet and whatnot. And he took a look at my diet and he come up with a plan where like for my protein, carbs, and fats, he limited to this amount. And for my calories, he set them like lower. Because before, I was trying to be like less than 1,800 a day with at least 100 to 120 calories. I'm sorry, 120 grams of protein. I want to clarify. But like when he put me on his diet, he got me into between 15 to 1,600 overall calories. Carbs between 160 to 190, fat less than 40 grams, and when it comes to protein, he wanted me to hit 180, and that one really, really pushed me to the limit. Like reaching 180 grams was a lot of work to get to, but I have managed to, try to hit that goal. So nowadays I'm trying to get like between 140 to 180, like that was easy for me to manage, but that is like what my calorie intake. And when it comes to dieting, I do like try to eat a lot of like chicken, a lot of like turkey. When it comes to like beef, like lamb, unless I eat like certain like beef, which is like 93 lean and like 7% fat, because like a lot of red meat have a lot of like fat. So like you can easily get like from a regular like beef, you can easily get like 20 grams of fat, and I can easily, well for me personally, I can easily go over my fat intake, and I'm trying to keep it below 40 grams. And like, I basically try to not eat bread or broth because that has a lot of carbs and fat as well. So like, I'm basically trying to, keep my fat as low as possible. So I'm eating a lot of like chicken and a lot of turkey. And of course, when it comes to carbs, I do eat like rice on top of that. So that's what I do.
Yeah, like my
When it
dad
comes
put
to
me on my diet, which got me, I was supposed to go down, she wanted me to go down like under 200, but I went down to like 204, started eating 6, so now I'm back between 204, 210 to keep it down. I can't eat a lot of foods I used to eat. I have to eat like burgers with less fat, but sometimes I have less, the grill that gets rid of the fat. And
Right.
good chicken and all that, so I've been doing right now. I'm feeling better because I almost had cancer because of it, but that's gone now. They took it out finally. It's like colon, but they took it out, so they're just concerned about me being healthy, and so I'm healthy now. So I don't eat as much junk foods as I used to. So
That's good, yeah.
that's a good thing right there, especially in my age, in the 50s. You gotta be careful. I
Right.
ain't what you used to be.
I'm in my 30s right now, but like both my parents are, we found out both of them are pre-diabetic. My father is on Ozempic right now because like his sugar was like that bad. So like for me, like I did get tested and I did like talk to my doctor. So I'm not pre-diabetic. I don't have diabetes, which is good. But they did tell me my saturated fat level, my cholesterol, is higher than like it's supposed to be. So like what my little brother like recommend is like if I were to drink like any soft drink, sparkling water, or even like Gatorade, I should drink those with like non-sugar. Because like for a human being, we're supposed to like consume less than 35 grams of sugar a day. But if you take like a regular Pepsi can, it has 36 grams of sugar. And just drinking it once, that's supposed to be your limit for the day. But like people are just so used to like, they're just so used to
Only
it.
once a day, so
Once a day, that's good, yes.
that's what I do.
So like I even like started like getting like Pepsi Zero or Diet of Pepsi, and like when it comes to like other like drinks, like even Gatorade, I try to get like one of those non-sugar ones because like I'm trying to keep my sugar intake as low as possible.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle died of diabetes. I know how it feels.
Yeah.
They died early. My aunt died in the early 50s. My uncle died in his mid 50s. So it's very important. They had diabetes for a long time because it was hereditary. They couldn't get away with it. So
Right.
but that's part of the family. Some people will get it, some people will not. Even if you do your diet, it just sometimes comes. You never know what's going to happen.
Does Ramadan ever affect your eating schedule or your resting schedule at all?
So, like, it does affect my investment a lot, because, like, when it comes to food, yes, I have to, like, cut back on food a lot, and, like, usually when it comes to Ramadan, I think it's because, like, my age, but, like, at some point, like, when it comes to, like, Ramadan, food isn't important to me, it is, like, fluid. One time I did Ramadan in Florida, I had to do 20 hours of fasting, and, like, the last 4 hours, I did not drink any, like, this was like in the middle of Ramadan. I didn't eat any food. All I did was drink water and Gatorade because, like, my body wanted fluid above everything else. So that was just doing. I was just drinking water and Gatorade because I didn't care about food at that time. I just want, like, fluid. And, like, when I did Ramadan up in Michigan, like, I did, like, have, like, only one meal and then, like, sometimes, like, rice and chicken or sometimes, like, regular, like, food, salmon, sandwiches, with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, when it comes to, like, snacks, I do eat, like, watermelon and cantaloupe because, like, it's more like a fluid food, you know? Like, I can, like, eat the food and, like, it sustains my stomach, but I also have, like, a lot of fluid in it, so, like, I get hydration from it. And, like, yeah, when it comes to, like, Ramadan, when it comes to food, I do have to cut back a lot. When it comes to wrestling, it does, like, tire me out, and, like, sometimes I get, like, very forgetful. Sometimes, like, I have to, like, remind myself over and over, even, like, write down on paper, like, that's the part I have to do, that's the kind of thing I have to do. And there are times where it's really tiring, where, like, I have to do a match for 15 minutes. I get very exhausted, but I couldn't drink anything for, like, another 20 minutes because it wasn't time for me to do it. So, like, it does get tiring, but, like I said earlier in the interview, a lot of times when it comes to opportunities, you don't want to pass them out. So, like,
Yeah.
there are times where, like, I try to, slow down, but then when there's another booking with a big show, like, I gotta take it. So a lot of times, like, I gotta do it, And sometimes, like, if I'm lucky, I'm able to wrestle with my friends and they know about my situation. So a lot of times they do keep it very simple and they try to do, like, most of the match, like, most of the attacks, so that way, I don't have to do as much as I have to.
Okay, I got a question. When you retire, what do you think people want to remember you as?
So if I were to retire, I want them to remember me as, like, a very good wrestling character, and I want them to also know that I'm a good person as well. Cause, like, there've been many times in wrestling where, like, a lot of times, like, people always have, like, a negative view, Cause, like, when it comes to wrestling, some people, they let their, like, egos get into it. Sometimes, like, they let their, not only their ego, but, like, their jealousy into it, Because a lot of times, like, people don't want to see people succeed when they're not the ones that they're succeeding, And when it comes to, like, of course, like, egos, again, they always want to be number one and don't like it when somebody else has. And there's been many times where, like, people say I've always been disrespectful to other wrestlers when that hasn't been the case. I've always, like, been polite to everybody. But, like, they always want to pick me as the bad guy because, like, they just can't imagine the idea that I'm actually a good person. So, like, when I do retire, I want them to remember me as a good performer, good character, as well as a good person at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have that question, Jeremy?
Oh yeah.
But
So what all championships have you won so far in your wrestling career?
So, when it comes to one promotion, Precision Combat Wrestling, I have won the Iron Lion Dion Championship. I have defended it for the 10th time. The 10th time was in Goodland, Kansas. With Sunshine Pro Wrestling, I've won the Heavyweight Championship. And with Stranglehold Championship Wrestling, I have won the All-American belt, which I've transferred to one at the moment, and I'm sure in the future, since I'm in the Midwest, I'll probably win even more championships.
Yeah.
Sorry, trying to think.
Have you ever? How many matches have you main evented so far?
Main evented, that is a good question. Because a lot of times I've always been like an opener or mid card because a lot of times I've been given the responsibility to get the match started or get the promotion started. I'm always meant to wake up the crowd in the beginning. But when it comes to main evented, of all the matches, I have between like 315, 320 matches. I'd say that I main evented like between 15 to 20 matches, you know?
Yeah.
All the times I've been at a mid card or opener.
Okay.
I'm prepared for that.
Can you? Do you have any other questions, Mike?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. What do you think about these videos on YouTube all the time? People doing wrestling moves that are not training. People say you shouldn't do it at home. They should always say you should do it at home, and people still do it. What do you think about that? I think it's totally stupid, in my opinion. For people, kids try to copy everything, and then they get hurt. They don't know.
Yeah.
They keep doing it, and they tell them not to do it. I'm not bad guy. I just want regular people. I think it's totally stupid, in my opinion. I'm a volunteer firefighter, so I've seen a lot of injuries in my side. So.
Right. And like, you know, it is just from what you're asking when it comes to like wrestlers who are getting bookings and try to do that without one more time. But when it comes to like normal people who don't, you know, do wrestling, who don't book matches, who don't go to matches, and just like regular people just practicing moves they've seen on TV or on YouTube, and that it is like very dangerous because like WWE at one point had this like segment like, please don't try this at home, and that always falls on deaf ears, and it's like that with like it's like a movie series called Jackass, I think that's what it's called, where
Jackass, the TV series, the movie TV, my cousins used to watch that show a lot, so I was into it.
Like what's it called? There's like one point where people did try to like reenact some of the guys, and of course like get injured and whatnot, and like unfortunately when it comes to like some people, it's like they don't always learn the lesson. Even though with like all these warning signs, whatever, like people asking like, please don't do this, you're gonna get hurt, it will affect you for the rest of your life, and they just say, you know, let's do it anyway, and they wonder why they get hurt, you know. So like unfortunately there's like a famous quote, there's no cure for stupidity, and like no matter like how many like warning signs, like people just gonna do it anyway. And I do want people to, you know, please try to use their brain by masking, you know, too much of that anyway. So yeah, I really don't like it when people just do stuff from either wrestling moves to, you know, doing pranks and whatnot, because like even like prank videos, because like I think like you guys know what I'm talking about. Like there's like one YouTube channel for the longest time, like they dress up as clowns and they go to like different major cities and like scare people. They did that in like Compton, California, and of course the locals they don't just run away; they actually like fight them. And there's like one point where police would actually call and they arrest everybody from the locals to the guys who are doing a prank. And I think after that video, they started, you know, stop doing it, because like they did do the videos at the day, but then like at that point where like local law enforcement is like telling them like, hey, stop doing it, or like I don't know like why I don't know if they're still going, but they basically like stop popping off more often because like police would get involved and like it stopped being a prank, it stopped becoming like a public nuisance. So yeah, unfortunately like when it comes to people, they'll do like ridiculous stuff for like views nowadays, you know, or just do it for the fun of it.
Okay, mention about the police. I remember a time during the daytime ECW, and they had this documentary called Forever Hardcore that Jerry Barrage produced. And they had a couple New Jack about a story about the man's transit incident. The kid didn't know enough about wrestling. He showed up for fake wrestling tapes and let him in. And then it all comes pretty about the big cut stuff. The cops wanted to arrest New Jack, but the family did not because the kid was so stupid. And he was acquitted on it. With these people that come in organizations, without showing an ID, let them wrestle. No wrestling experience whatsoever, and fake wrestling tapes they show them. What do you think about that? I think it's stupid.
Right. So like back in the day, it was like in the 90s. So a little bit off topic, but one of my trainers, Simon Goff, he used to tell me that when he was first starting out, he used to get like a PCR, and he would like cut and clip some of his like veteran matches, his moves, and he would mail that PCR to other promoters with their like name and email. Right. That was the method at the time. So like back in the that time with the trans man incident, a lot of times like they still do PCR, but a lot of times it takes a lot of time. But also when it comes to like they like when promoters like from the territory they take new wrestlers, a lot of times they get a call from the other promoters or it's like word of mouth, you know, because it's like that with like Ric Flair where he got into Carolina, and that's by word of mouth by another wrestler. And a lot of times you have to more or less take them at face value because the kid, you mentioned he was trained by Killer Kowalski, and there's been like many stories about his training. So like a lot of times you more or less have to take it as face value, and he could like I would say Paul Heyman or whoever talks to the kid, they could have done like more diligent when it comes to like interviewing or seeing like where the kid got trained. Because like if I remember correctly, he did have like 3 or 4 other matches before this match with New Jack. So like
he wasn't trained.
He wasn't like fully trained.
Yeah.
No.
So like I would say it is like wrong on ECW part where they should have done the more diligent. By the same time, yeah, and at the same time, this 17-year-old kid and his father, I blame the father most of all. Like he should have like encouraged it, especially like with all like his hardcore matches. He should have like encouraged his kid to go through with it, you know.
Yep.
So like in that situation, it's more or less everybody is at fault to a certain degree. Like everybody should have done their due diligence. Everybody and the kids shouldn't have gone through with it. Nowadays, like with all this technology, we could do more diligence. Because like nowadays, like a lot of promoters, they talk to each other. So they're able to know like who this wrestler, who's got trained, and like you can't like more or less hide anything. Because there's been times where like they say, I've been trained by this guy, let me check, do you have a video I can see? I don't have a video, but I've been trained by this guy, please believe me. Okay, let me figure something out. He talked to the other like trainers at the school, like, do you know this guy? Never met him in my life, never seen him in my life. And of course the baby, you know. And there's been times where I've seen like other guys, they like asked for, you know, a booking, and the promoter was asking like, can you tell me where you've been trained? I haven't been trained, I'm self-taught, but I can do this easy. Like, no, dude, like I can't just book untrained guys. So when it comes to the mass transit incident, it is like an unfortunate like incident that should not have happened, and it should be more or less as a cautionary tale for a lot of wrestlers. But a lot of times, like wrestlers and bookers, a lot of times they ignore it because they're focusing more on like getting views on TikTok or like getting you know, people at the gate. And it was like another incident with Dark Side of the Ring when it comes to Abdullah the Butcher, and you know.
Yes, that man. Yeah, I remember him wrestling. Oh my God.
And like, and Solo Monster, who is a pretty big podcast when it comes to wrestling, he said it best like there is no innocent people in that whole situation. Everybody was more or less at fault equally. So it's like that with wrestling where like everybody nowadays should hold each other accountable. Everybody should do the due diligence. Everybody should always like cross-check and more or less investigate everybody else. Cause like I would tell people, you know, I'm trained by Gorilla Blanco, I'm trained by Simon Goff, and now to that list of people, I'm able to tell them I am trained by Dan the Beast Efron.
Oh
so, like,
yeah. Good fighting. I remember him. He's a damn good fighter.
So like a lot of times, like I have people actually reach out to Simon Cox, say like, do you know this guy? He goes, yeah, I trained Ali, you know. And now I hope I can get the same praise when it comes to Dan the Beast. Like, hey, there's like up and coming wrestler named Ali Mohammed. He said he's been trained by you. Oh yeah, I know Ali. He's a good kid. He came to me for like a weekend training at my home gym, and you know the kid got potential. So now I'm honored to have like these kind of people to vouch for me, and I do have like other like wrestlers who've been around for a long while who does like vouch for me. So that is like something like a lot of wrestlers should do. It's like I would say wrestling, because like a lot of wrestlers, they have their own resume, and a lot of times you want to have your resume do the talking for you, and of course like you won't be able to keep training, and of course keep doing any bookings you can do.
Have you?
Yeah, Master Artist thing, if you ever want to see it, they have the thing with Devon talking about it. It's on YouTube, if you ever try to find it. It shows the whole match, and Devon's straight through with the match, how the kid screwed up on everything else, and everything. You should check it out. It's really just the whole match released, Devon being interviewed, talking about the match. It's really good. It's a little bit disgusting, but it's really good.
Was it with Chris Van Vliet, do you know? Because like I think I've seen the interview, but I haven't had a chance.
Yeah, the kid, like, you cut real big, comes so deep in the scalpel. Too deep. And it showed it, everything, showed the whole thing. The match got released a few years ago, and Devon got interviewed for it, and talks to step by step what happened in the match with the kid, and I should have known he wasn't experienced. He knew after he started wrestling, didn't know what the hell he was doing.
I have to try to look up if I can.
You check it out.
Mr. Jeremy, you want to say something, sir?
Yeah. Have you suffered any injuries while wrestling?
So when it comes to injuries, I don't have any like major injuries. I had some bruises, some cuts on me, but like the biggest like injuries I would say is I have like a bruised rib, and like it is difficult walk and talk, sometimes breathe, but a lot of times like I have to still rest over the bruised ribs, and that is not fun at all. So the bruised rib is more or less like the biggest like injury I have, but nothing like very serious, nothing that I have to take some time off for.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
So like when it comes to like someone like me who's very character based, I don't have to do like crazy moves to get the audience attention. But when it comes to wrestling, you do have to be physical. You do have to do physical moves, and a lot of times like you get hurt. My ribs, for example, like I get them all bruised up, and a lot of times I have to bend them, and I have to continue forward. So.
Has there ever been a situation where before the match you were recovering from an injury or bruised ribs or something, or you had a pre-existing injury ahead of time and you had to tell your opponent backstage, hey, be careful of this particular body area or anything, and they had to be careful of that area, or they try to focus in on that area during the match?
So for something like that, I did tell them to be careful of my ribs and to do avoid them. And there are times where like my opponent, they're like, hey Ali, my neck is hurting, my arms, my leg, or one of the others is hurting. So a lot of times when they say my arm hurt, I focus on the leg a lot, more or less avoiding the body part. And when they say my leg hurts, I'm like attacking the head, I'm attacking like, the arm. So a lot of times where like other wrestlers like tell me avoid this body part, I do avoid them. And for me, like they do like avoid like my ribs or sometimes like my elbow when they hurt from like workout. So they do avoid them. But like sometimes like let's say for example, let's go back to the ribs where like their big finisher is the frog splash. So a lot of times where I say like okay, so like in the beginning and like all the match you can avoid the ribs, but when it comes to the frog splash, you can hit that one time and like go for the pan. And a lot of times they do like when they do land, they do avoid putting the whole weight into my ribs and go for the pan. A lot of times like even though they avoid like hurting me, because bruised ribs like hurt easy. I still like get
Yeah.
hurt a little bit, but a lot of times I'm able to like walk it off. So like I never had like a situation where like please avoid it like a body part and they go at it purposely. A lot of times like we keep each other safe, because the cardinal rule of wrestling is protect your opponent, and I've always like keep that serious, make that golden rule, very serious. I never like hurt my opponent on purpose, and I hope they do the same for me,
Yeah.
I have no question. You got any more?
I'll save the next question for last. So what's your question, Mike?
That's I got done. All set.
You're done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
But yeah,
So the last question is going to be what I call the forbidden question. It's something that I always ask our guests and things, and it's a question that wrestling fans and wrestlers have always heard all throughout their time as being fans and as being wrestlers. I hate it. Mike hates it. I'm pretty sure you've heard it before, but why do you like wrestling, and why should we care that it's kayfabe?
So a good friend of mine named Jake St. Patrick, he mentioned this very good, because nowadays everybody knows that it's all kayfabe. Everybody knows that wrestling is predetermined. So he mentioned it like this. He goes like, this is like a Marvel studio, like a Marvel movie. So on screen we play our characters, either we're the big hero or the big villain. But as soon as like we get off the ring, we are a regular person and we need to interact with our fans. So that's how like I would like to view wrestling. So like when I'm out the curtains, when I'm on the ring, I am a major heel. I yell the audience. I bully my opponent. I yell the ref. I'm an actual hero. I'm an actual villain. But like as soon as I go to the curtains and when I'm selling the merch or like I'm helping building out the ring, when the fans come up to me and talk to me, I talk to them like a human being. I don't like yell them whatever. It's like this. Like imagine you are a thespian, like a Shakespeare. So like when you're on the stage, you do play a character. You play a villain. You play a goofball. You play a heroine or hero. And as soon as you get off the stage, you talk to your opponent. Like it's like that. Like you are a on-stage actor. You're a theater actor. Even though, like for wrestling, it is like more physical. Like we do our dialogue by our moves by our body parts. It's like same thing with like Jim Cornette. He goes like, this is a combat simulator. This is a theater combat. So that is like how like when it comes to wrestling, you do want to like try to keep kayfabe as possible. So like when it's like wrestling time, when it's like the camera is on, you be your character, you act like your character. When the camera is off, you can more or less like keep your gimmick. Cause like when it comes to my gimmick, like I still like try to keep the Arabian aspect of like you dare approach me with your autograph book very well and like do my autograph. So like I still keep the kayfabe a little bit, like make them like remember the character more. And but some people like they work too hard to keep the kayfabe, where like they act like an a-hole on camera on the ring, and outside the ring they act like an a-hole, and like the fans like, dude, can I get your autograph, get your picture, buy merch from you? And they act like an a-hole, like won't ever mind them. Like they try so hard on keeping the kayfabe when it was not necessary anymore. Like back in the territory days, it was a necessity. A lot of time it is your job on the line, but nowadays wrestling has changed, and like people need to. I'm not saying like fans need to move on, but I'm saying it mostly to the wrestlers. Like you need to like move on. It's not the territory days anymore. It's not the 80s anymore. You can't do certain behaviors where it's pound look pound. It's like you can't just say oh it's wrestling. Like you can't just chalk up everything to wrestling. You can't just use a hateful slur and say oh it's wrestling. Like no, that's not how it is anymore. you need to adapt. If you don't adapt, you just stay behind. You get left behind. So I'm saying that mostly to the wrestlers. There are some fans who are stuck in the 80s as well, but like, they're not the huge problem. It's usually like other wrestlers and even like promoters who is like trying to more or less bring back the old days. But unfortunately, the old days are gone. Like even like major promoters like WWE, TNA, AEW, like WWE to its detriment is doing their Unreal documentaries, but like it's like what I was saying when it comes to like Marvel movies, like on screen the people are playing different characters. They don't just keep that character outside the screen, or like in the movies they don't just say, hey, this is not real. Let's just not put our effort to it. But like in the movies they put in the effort, like they're trying to save the world or they're trying to destroy it. And like as soon as they get off the screen, they do like interviews with like talk show hosts at the night shows. They do be themselves, but they also talk about their character, talk about what they're feeling at that moment. So I'm sorry if I'm like rambling on, but like
Right.
when it comes to like wrestling and like keeping kayfabe, like yes, on screen, on TV, on video, we need to be our character. But as soon as the camera's off, we're interacting with the crowd when we're doing the merchandise. We do like become ourselves more or less, and more or less be like have our character, have ourselves. That way we can still keep the illusion alive. Because they know it is all wrestling is all performance, and they're all paying for the performance. They are buying into the performance. If they are not buying into the performance, they're not buying into our merchandise or to our storyline. So we want more or less like keep it in between.
What about LFG third season? They're now knowing how these people go through and what you have to go through to get to the big two. What do you think about that coming on? And WWE's finally showing what happens behind the scenes when you're trying to get into the top NXT and stuff like that. What do you think about that? I think it's good.
So it's like 50-50. Like when it comes to like again going back to the movie, sometimes they do behind the scenes. Sometimes they show like, oh, this is how we do this and that. This is how we shot the camera, get the camera angle like this. So sometimes it's good that we able to show how creative it can be, but at the same time, like you can't show too much, otherwise they will break the illusion. So like when it comes to LFG, like WWE needs to like keep in like what's going between, where like this is how we do it, but at the same time they can't like destroy too much of the illusion. Like when WWE most of all needs to like keep up the kayfabe, because like they are the biggest company and they need to act like they're the biggest company. So it's like 50-50. When it comes to like WWE, at one point, like when it comes to the like reality shows, like fans did like it because like there's like a lot of drama, but like when it comes to other wrestlers, they didn't like the TV guys. You hear, for example, with Maven Huffman, where he was, and like he talked about how like he worked hard to become like doing it tough enough, even though he quote unquote proved himself. As soon as he got to WWE, he was still like the black sheep. And it was like that with the men, where like, oh, he's a TV guy, like he shouldn't be here. But like Miz, he did prove himself to be a huge what's the word I was looking for? A huge asset, a huge part of wrestling, and like we needed people like the Miz. And right now, like WWE, they're like more or less going 100% on like TV stars, drama stars. It's like you still need wrestling in a wrestling show. So like it's like always good balance. It's like that with like in business and wrestling and life. You need to have a good balance and everything. You can't just do 100% of one thing and ignore the other aspect.
Right.
I'm all set, Jeremy. How about you?
What about the storylines that blur between kayfabe and reality, such as when Dominic Mysterio was doing date nights with Rhea Ripley, or when he is with Liv Morgan, or what they're doing now between Rene Dupree and Austin Theory, when Rene Dupree actually, or Maxine Dupree actually got married earlier this year, and now they're doing a storyline where she's actually dating Austin Theory.
So like when it comes to like these kind of a storyline, if they're able to like get views on network, they should be able to do it. You know, cause like when it comes to WWE, like I'm sorry, not just WWE, like wrestling, you do need to like come up with like storyline. Sometimes if you blur the bridge between reality and kayfabe, if they're able to do it right and able to get enough views, you should be able to do it. Because there are some like storylines where like very personal, where like people's lives are at risk. They shouldn't go for because like back in the territory days, it is do whatever is possible, any means justifies the end. But like when it comes to like storylines where like it's blurred between reality and if it is they able to do it like safely without harming anybody's like reputation and whatnot between like the storyline. There's like some like they mentioned before where like he and his like real life wife, you understand it is wrestling and you understand like when he does his like dating Mary, it is just all performance. It's like that with like when it comes to like Spanish like TV network, they have Telemundo like TV drama. So a lot of times
Wow.
when it comes to like actors having like all these like affairs and whatnot, so like their like spouse understand like that is just TV. As long as they keep it on TV, it's not a huge problem. As soon as it becomes reality, then it is an issue because like WWE in the past did like try blurring the line between reality and like kayfabe, and a lot of times it involves somebody else's death. I don't want to mention by name. You guys probably understand who I'm referring to.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, there are some things where like you can't just throw it on TV. A lot of times you have to keep things, between everybody else. A lot of times, like, like when it comes to somebody like death or somebody like spousal, marital status, or like even like sometimes like a good example is like between like Dominic and like Ray and Eddie Guerrero. That storyline like between reality and like kayfabe, that works because all parties were involved and they able to like keep this like drama. But when it comes to like something where like police was actually involved, not just kayfabe police, but like real life police was involved in the situation, you can't just like add that and say like oh it's kayfabe because like going back to the early conversation when we had with New Jack, there was a story. I forget the name of the wrestler, but he like grabbed him from a staple and threw him off. Originally,
that was I think.
like the name of the other wrestler, yeah.
They did toss him. I forgot the guy's name. They wanted to kill him, but they moved the things back further before he could do that. I know you're talking about that.
Yeah, it was on Doctor.
Vic Grimes. That's who it was, Vic Grimes. And I think about
Rick Grimes, yeah. So yeah, like with that Grimes, he did like take him to court, but then eventually he said to New Jack like, hey, if I were to drop the what's it called lawsuit, can we like turn it into a program? And like I don't want to speak ill to death, but when it comes to like that kind of stuff, like you can't just like commit like attempt murder and just turn into like kayfabe because like at one point where does it stop? At one point can you just say like oh it's just like wrestling? Because like I can't just like perform bodily harm on somebody and say like oh it's kayfabe. Like where does it end? Because like they can easily just like steal my car or like damage my house and say oh it's kayfabe. Like the hell with kayfabe, we're going like repair all this damage. And like when it comes to like independent wrestling, even like TV rating, a lot of times the pay you receive is not enough to cover the cost of not just property, but just your mental health. So like even if you do get like millions of dollars, a lot of times like these like dramas, they stay with you. Because like you hear like from other wrestlers like, oh, 20 years ago this happened, 30 years ago this happened, and it still like affects them. Another good story, another famous story is where Bret Hart talked about, the happened nearly 30 years ago, and he still talks about it. So like,
Yeah.
let's say for example, now somebody takes my car and grab it to my house. I do get like $1 million out of the door line, the program, and the call off. But like that $1 million is gonna be gone in the future. So 20, 30 years from now, I'm still gonna talk about it, and I'm gonna be like irate about it because like it's not just like, oh, I have money to cover the cost. It's just like my property was damaged, like my person was damaged, and like nothing can repair it. So like when it comes to like wrestling, you need to like have like good good level, like good balance when it comes to like how much we can put on the line without being detriment to your body.
Got anything else, Mike?
No, I don't.
All right.
All set.
I believe I'm all set too. So,
Okay.
pleasure to have you on the show, Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali, my show. We're just fans. We're not getting paid for it. We're just fans
Yeah.
like talking people about it. That's all we are.
Yeah.
It is an honor to be on this show, and it's an honor to talk to you too and talk about wrestling. And I had a
Yes.
great time talking about it with you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. So, other than that, this has been the Judge 08, also known as Jeremy J. Guillory. That's been Classic Mike.
Mike here. Till next time.
And Mr. Ali.